Alrighty. I don't remember if I gave you the answer to number 4. I may have already given it to you. It's Thursday. If I didn't give it to you, number 4 is Thursday. Now, let me go back up one. Remember when we were looking at the story of Siddhartha Gautama, the historic Buddha, and he's at his wit's end. He's sitting under a tree. He's like, I'm going to either die here or get enlightened. And he gets enlightened with the help of the snake. The snake doesn't help him, just shelters him, but kind of mad at the snake still. So anyway, he discovers the Four Noble Truths. And these Four Noble Truths are statements about the nature of life, the nature of existence. And he says, man, now that I understand how life works, how existence works, I can figure out how to stop existing, right? If existence is the problem, then now we know how it comes about so we can end it. And so these Four Noble Truths are kind of the heart of Buddhism. And so we'll go through them. The first is, all existence is suffering. The Buddha taught, there is no misery like physical existence. To exist is to suffer. This should sound familiar to you. We went over it with pantheism in general, where there's no theology of God creating something and saying good, good, very good, ergo to exist is a blessing. There is a theology of existence is karma meting out its rather nefarious purposes, and so you're trapped in existences. And remember, I did the little quiz, like how many of you exist, ergo suffer, and if you didn't exist, you wouldn't suffer. And so the Buddha, he taps into that. He is Hindu, remember, and this is his worldview that says existence is suffering. And remember, in his disillusionment, he comes out of the palace, out of living this life that's very protected, and he sees all the suffering around him, and he realizes, oh, happiness is an illusion. There is no such thing as happiness. It's only suffering. So the first discovery that he makes is not really too new. It's that, yeah, existence is suffering. So then he says it's every kind of suffering. There's a video I posted under your field trips. And since we're not doing field trips, we're just kind of going to make some video trips to different places. But it's got this young lady talking about how, in her own experience, there is so much despair and pain and sorrow and suffering, and that how she, now that she understands that, she can be released. So he says, man, every part of life is suffering. The physical birth, the physical life, the mental life, all of these aspects of suffering are because we exist. The second truth, then, that he understands, the first is, it sucks to exist. Existence is suffering. Number two is really important. It's called the 12-fold chain of causation, or dependent origination. And this is what's kind of new to Buddhism. Hinduism doesn't have this kind of structured understanding of why we keep existing. And we'll go over this when we talk together, and I have a couple videos to help you understand it. But let's go through it. The Buddha says, because we don't understand that existence is really not necessary, really, we could be released from existence if we try. We could be freed from the dictates of karma. That's the ignorance he's talking about. So with ignorance as the condition, we get mental formations. These thought impulses, or this sense of existence arises. And with mental formations as the condition, consciousness arises. Now, you and I know what consciousness is. It means I exist. I'm aware of myself. A self arises. And with consciousness as the condition, you can just imagine a chain that each link is building. With consciousness as the condition, name and form, or what we would call identity, arises. So I'm aware of myself, and then I have to realize, oh, I'm a human, I'm a female, I'm Amy. Who is this self? I have a name, a form, I have identity specific to this incarnation. With that identity, my body, my brain, I get sense gates. So think of sense gates, the basic senses. We can see things, we can hear things, touch, taste, feel, smell. And so these are my sense gates. There'd be different sense gates if I was a hippopotamus, different sense gates if I was an angel or a spirit being, right? So based on this physical incarnation that I have sense gates. Now, with sense gates comes contact. So I'm going to, I didn't bring a chocolate peanut butter cup. I wish I had brought a chocolate peanut butter cup. Yeah, go get one. My daughter's going to go get me one. But I love chocolate peanut butter cups from Trader Joe's, dark chocolate. It cuts the sweet, and they're fair trade. So if you can hack the line at Trader Joe's, you should get some dark chocolate peanut butter cups. But when I put a dark chocolate peanut butter cup on my tongue, all right, I have procured said dark chocolate peanut butter cup. So when this goes on my tongue, let me just demonstrate. That sense gate has a very pleasant feeling. Contact. Good. The contact has resulted in a good feeling. So you can see contact as the condition. Let me contact that again. Yep. A feeling arises. Yep, that's true. It's a good feeling. It's soft and squishy. It's a little bit salty, very sweet. It's the perfect combination of all things on my sense gate called my tongue. And hand. Yep. More contact. Sure enough, just like the Buddha said, now that I've had this contact and it's given birth to such great feelings, craving arises. And what I really want is another peanut butter cup. But I'm not going to have it. I'm putting it back. So he says, man, when we feed these appetites, now I have a big glob of chocolate, sorry. When we feed these appetites that we have because of our sense gates, it develops craving. And then you want more, just like I do with the chocolate peanut butter cups. And to tell you the truth, I do have a problem with chocolate peanut butter cups. This is like true confessions time now. I eat at least 4 a day. Sometimes if things get out of control, maybe 6. But I'm going to tell you, that's down from 8. So we're heading the right direction. Anyway, cravings. So I'm familiar with cravings. So the more you feed the appetite, the more it grows. And you get cravings. With cravings as the condition, you start clinging. I have clinged to the chocolate peanut butter cups. I have a stash downstairs. And when this pandemic started, I did not go for toilet paper. I did not go for hand sanitizer. I didn't go for chicken or anything that would actually keep you alive. My thought was, if I'm going to die in a bunker somewhere, I'm going to be surrounded by chocolate peanut butter cups. So I went and stocked up 4 cartons of these chocolate peanut butter cups. That's called clinging. The Buddha would be very unpleased with me right now. With clinging as condition, becoming, the next life is already in formation. Karma is responding to what you're clinging to. So apparently, in my next life cycle, I will be one ginormous chocolate peanut butter cup. But in a more true way, he's saying, man, if you pursue power, it's going to create future life cycles that are responding to what you pursue. And he would say it's probably not a very good future for you. So he says, be very, very, very careful about what you're clinging to. And in fact, the Buddha would say, stop the clinging. Because the clinging brings about the next life cycle, the becoming. That the becoming gives physical birth. With physical birth as the condition, the aging and the dying go. And then we have the suffering and the pain and then the misery. And then we do the whole thing again. So, if existence is caused by this chain, or it's dependent on these origins, what we can do is we can break the chain. And the place I can break the chain is right here at contact. If I really legitimately needed to stop eating chocolate peanut butter cups, then I guess I better stop eating chocolate peanut butter cups, right? It wouldn't be any good to keep eating them and then think, why do I keep craving them? At some point, I have to stop contact, because then I could purge myself of the feelings and the craving and the clinging, and pretty soon I wouldn't even miss them, and then pretty soon that karmic attachment to what I crave will dissipate. So for Buddhism, life cycle after life cycle is about purging yourself of attachment. You'll hear this language of attachment, of clinging. And so the goal would be to detach, to be released from attachment. This is at the most basic level, physical things, right? So food, pleasures, wealth, hence the 10 precepts. You know, we're not going to have money, and we're not going to be drunk, and we're not going to be partying. Detached from physical indulgences. And then emotional indulgences, right? You think about happiness and pleasure and all of these emotional things. They're like, you know, how much suffering does that cause? A lot. Things like love. Love causes a lot of suffering. Some of you have suffered terribly because of love and then the lack of it or the ending of it. And so they're like, just detach from that. Then you won't have all these cravings for a person or a relationship. And eventually they'll get into detaching from kind of these spiritual ideas. And so eventually one is untethered or just free of any attachments. And that is the key to enlightenment, is to be released from attachments. Because karma, in the Buddhist notion, karma attaches to what you attach to, or it judges it. Remember, karma is an impersonal blind force. It can't make decisions, but it responds to what you attach to. So detaching. We'll talk about this more, but also I have those little videos that will kind of explain this chain of causation. But the bottom line is, for Buddhists to break this causal chain that keeps causing new existences to arise, one would cut off at contact. And so that's where you get the life of kind of purging out. Their form of spiritual discipline would be to stop doing certain things, or eating certain things, or wanting certain things. In one of the temple monasteries that I used to go to a good bit, they would take in young men who want to become monks. And the head monk, in the meditation room, there were two full-size, skeletons, like you would see in a science lab. Right there, there's statues of the Buddha and other icons and things that they would use in the meditation. And then these two skeletons right there. So I finally said, Achan, why do you have two skeletons there? And he said, oh, these young guys, they come in and they're so consumed with sex and love and hot and bothered, and they can't focus on the spiritual stuff we need to do because they're all, worried about these girls. And he's like, I just need to get their mind off of their physical or sexual desire. So he says he makes them come in and meditate on the skeleton. And he says, I tell them, you know that woman you think is so beautiful? Uh-huh. She's really nothing but an ugly skeleton with some temporary skin on. So underneath all that skin, what looks so beautiful is just bones. And he goes, do you know how you imagine eating a wonderful meal with her, and it's so sexy to watch her chew, and she's so beautiful when you're eating together? And he says, you just need to know that's an illusion. It's just a temporary illusion of beauty. Really, that's just poop before it's been pooped out. How beautiful is poop? And so it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess that works. He says, oh, yeah, it helps them overcome those sexual or physical desires for a woman. So that's his way of cutting off contact, is to say, no, don't think so positively about your romantic life. All right. Here is a much more traditional imaging of the chain of causation. It's not so linear. It's much more cyclical. And but you can see all of the cravings, the attachment, becoming, birth, age, death, and how through karma we get the past and the present all creating these realities for us. We'll look at more at it, but hopefully you can get something in your head about this. Here are the videos I would like for you to watch and to read. So I will post them where you can connect to the link, and please on your own time go and watch these and read this article. And this article has some good visuals. I got the previous visual from that, but it's a nice little read on the chain of causation. Number 3. So number 1 of the Four Noble Truths is Life is suffering. Existence is suffering. Number 2, we exist, ergo suffer, because of this chain of causation. Number 3, hang on, I still have chocolate peanut butter cup. I can taste it. Number 3, we can end attachment. We can end existence by ending desire. And so, as I've already said, in Buddhism, cut off the chain, end desire. And the Buddha says, man, one of the main things you all desire or crave or are attached to is your own existence. He says, man, you'll go through enormous lengths to save your life. And he says, so that's why you keep existing, is because you're very attached to your own existence. And of course, if existence is suffering, follow the formula, non-existence is the end of all suffering or bliss, nirvana, moksha, right? Happiness. Of course, you're not in a state where you can experience it. You're in non-existence, but there is no suffering if you don't exist. So he says you can end suffering by ending desire. Then number 4, he says, how do you live in such a way that you're mindful of this and you don't do things that give bad karma? He's aware of karma. Buddhists absolutely believe in karma. And so this is their system of managing karma, because karma is what attaches to you and gives you new existences and creates the suffering. And so this is called the Eightfold Path, the Noble Eightfold Path. And he says, okay, you got to have the right understanding of life. Well, we just went through that, the Four Noble Truths. And then you have to condition your mind not to attach mentally to bad things like hatred of somebody or desire to harm somebody or vengeance and these kinds of bad mental thoughts, because karma attaches to what you think just as much as it attaches to what you do or what you take in. So the words have to be right. Buddha taught, hey, only what's true, kind, and helpful should you speak, because what we put out into the universe in our words creates this karmic loop that will come back either positively or negatively. This is all about how to manage karma. Remember, karma is what keeps causing these existences. And so we have to do good things and avoid these bad things so that we're not constantly being burdened with these new existences. Right speech, right action. This is the body, the physical ethic. Don't kill. Remember, these are the precepts, the first 5 precepts. No killing, no stealing, no sexual immorality, and no drunkenness. And remember, the other of the 5 precepts was no lying, which is above. So this is a basic morality that if you will do this and avoid doing the wrong stuff, karma will respond well to you. And right livelihood. In other words, you cannot make your living doing what is forbidden. So if killing is forbidden, you cannot make your living selling weapons of death, like guns. You cannot make your living as a butcher. If lying is forbidden, you can't make your living as a con man. If being drunk or intoxicated is forbidden, you cannot make your living selling beer. So he says, don't do that. Bad karma on that. And then right effort. This is just the moral life. Just avoid all things that would result in bad karma. Make good merit. We'll see how they do that later. And then the last 2 are really related to meditation and devotion. So in Buddhism, the emphasis is going to be on meditation. In Hinduism, there were many ways to kind of practice the religious life, mainly devotion to deities, but also yoga, which is their word for meditation, and some other ways. In Buddhism, it's just meditation. And so getting the mind into the right place so that it can become transcendent, much like the Buddha did when he sat under a tree for 49 days. All right, the Noble Eightfold Path. This is the ethic that will get one in the right lifestyle to manage karma. Now, remember I said the Buddha says, man, the thing you're most attached to is your own existence. And he said, man, really, if you would realize that you don't actually exist in any real way, you wouldn't be so desperate to stay existing. Let's think about Hinduism. Hinduism had the notion of Atman. Remember, Atman is Brahman. The stuff of the universe is the same stuff as what is me. I'm just me captured or imprisoned in this particular very temporary physical existence. Remember, I had my cup and we said there's Pacific Ocean water, and I scooped up Pacific Ocean water, and so it's all the same stuff. That's Atman is Brahman. The Buddha rejects that. He says there's no Atman. There is no essential stuff that is transferred into each existence. And so it's called the doctrine of no soul. In Christianese, we use the language of soul, and we're expressing some eternal quality that is me. We know it's not my body. We know it's not my brain, but there's some spiritual reality that is eternal. And the Buddha says, oh no, there's nothing. There's nothing that goes on from one life cycle to the next life cycle. There is no Pacific Ocean water that's going to move from one body to another body. He says all we are is a temporary aggregate of 5 components. We have a particular body, particular emotions, particular perceptions, those are sense gates, particular disposition, that's a personality, and a particular consciousness. And karma dictates those 5 things coming together for a particular time, for a prescribed time, a karmic cycle. Now, the best example I can give you is of Legos. All of y'all played with Legos, and let's say I have my 5 Legos, or 500, or however many you have, and we make a car. And maybe we even are so fancy we put a little engine in the car, and we can run it around and remote control it and all. And it's clearly a car. But after 3 months or something, we're tired of the car, and we want to use the Legos for something else. And so I dismantle the Legos. What is left? Where's the car? Where's the carness of it? It's gone. No one thinks that there was some essential spiritual or metaphysical quality inside the Legos that is still roaming around as a car, or that is transferred to another car. It's just temporary. The Legos were temporarily aggregated to make a car. Now they're disaggregated. It's done. The car is gone. There is nothing left. That's what the Buddha taught about the nature of the self. Is that there actually is no soul. There is no essence at the center of it all, but we're just the temporary aggregation of these 5 components dictated by karma. And he goes, if you would realize you don't even really exist in any eternal way. He's not saying that this is not a reality. But he says, there's nothing beyond this. You don't exist apart from this. You wouldn't be so worried about hanging on to it, and then you could be released from attachment to existence itself. Now, some would, Doctrine of Emptiness. Some would say, well, then how can there be reincarnation if there is no soul? What is karma following and rewarding or punishing, or how does that work? And in Hinduism, I used the example of my Pacific Ocean water. Remember, we went down to the Pacific Ocean, we scooped up some water, brought it home, set it on the mantle for a little while. After a while, we said, let's get some new water. We pour it back into the ocean and get a different cup. I only have a bowl, but a different bowl, and we bring it home. Same stuff, but not the exact same arrangement of the stuff. Well, Buddhism doesn't think that. Buddhism uses images of candles. So I have 2 candles here, and this one is a flame. Maybe it's really a pen, I get that, but pretend like you can see the flame right here. Look at that candle. Now here's my other candle. It's not lit yet, but now I'm lighting it. Now there's a flame on both candles. See, this one's the one I just lit. I blew this one out. Now, did this life, this candle, cause the life or the fire on this candle? Yes, it certainly was causal. But is it the same? No. Was there a transfer of material? No. So that's how the Buddha explained reincarnation. He's like, yeah, there's no stuff that hops from one life to another, but there is this energy or this effect of this life causes something in this life. And so that's how he illustrated it. And he just said, this is how it is. When he was under the Bodhi tree and being enlightened, he saw millions, hundreds of thousands of past lives of his own. And yet, in spite of seeing his own, or claiming that he saw his own past lives, he does not have any theology of there's a material connection from one life to another. He's not jumping from lives. It's just this causal connection of the candles, that this candle lights that candle and that candle lights that candle, like Christmas Eve. So yeah, that's that. All right. I cannot remember if I did number 5. I think I already did number 5, but in case, it's Nebraska. Number 5 is Nebraska.